What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo.
Welcome to Couch in the Roo, presented by Pure Options Precision Crafted Cannabis. And I cannot tell you exactly how important Pure Options has been to my last 24 hours. The number of MGs in my system right now. If you are like me and not having the best day, not really sure about the next 4 years, not sure you really want to face everything, a little numb to the world, Pure Options is here for you. I'm telling you, there has never been a better time. There ought to be just a flat-out election deal. Trump deal at Pure Options. Go to pureoptions.com, though. You will find some incredible deals there. You'll find their location information. You can join their Pure Perks loyalty program, and they'll help you feel better. Terrific quality, terrific customer service, great offerings. Again, pureoptions.com, locations throughout the state of Michigan. And also our, what day is it? I don't even know what day it is. Wednesday.
Hump day.
Wednesday night show. Brought to you by our friends at Firekeepers Casino and the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. If you'd like to gamble away your life savings. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to get that dark. Sorry for the bad joke. Firekeepers is here for you if you want to bet the games. Terrific app. Download the app. You'll enjoy the sign-up specials. Or if you want the Sportsbook experience or the casino experience, Firekeepers is right off I-94 in Battle Creek. Fantastic experience. You don't need to go to Vegas. It's right here. And also our Wednesday night show presented by our friends at Front 43 Neighborhood Pub and Cask and Company Kitchen and Bar. Just an awesome place for a date night to watch a game. And is daylight savings happening and it gets dark earlier. I love like their lighting setup. I don't know what it is. When I walk into Front 43 and Cask and Company and it's already dark at night, it's just cozy. It's awesome. It's just got great vibes, and great vibes are everything I could use right now. Also a great menu and great drink selection. Go to caskandcompany.com to check that out or make a reservation. Think I'm taking my wife there on Saturday night. Jason, how you doing, brother? I mean, I felt all of Fred Human.
Bazooka time.
What's up, buddy? I was worried about you this morning when I woke up. I was like, uh-oh.
I was caw-cawing at the TV all last night.
Was that the Mexican soccer?
Yeah, it was not the Mexican soccer.
Let me check Graham's Twitter. Thank God for Mexican soccer. I was like, oh, shit. Election not go the way you thought. Oh, man.
Didn't go well.
Yeah.
Did not go well. And, we are, this place will always be a place, I think, now obviously during the pandemic when there was issues that were, when sports weren't happening, we got into a lot of stuff, and I'll continue to do that in my columnist role here and there. But this place will be a haven for people to escape. We'll talk sports, we'll have fun, and it is a place for common ground. I will say, last night fucking sucked. Like, let me lose some listeners here. I'm sorry. I think it was a pretty horrific event in American history, and I do think things are going to get
history. Yeah.
I do think things are going to get pretty dark, and that, you know what, I understand that people have all sorts of views, and I respect them. And I have lots. I've got two uncles I adore who I know didn't vote the way I voted. I went for a walk at midnight in my neighborhood last night with a woman who is a Republican. She's not a Trumper, but and just to
it sounds like one of those commercials that aired before the election.
Yeah, it was.
What is this stage bullshit you're talking about? What are you talking about? You took a walk last night with a Republican
at midnight. Yeah.
What is your neighborhood?
Is
your neighborhood real?
My neighborhood is real. It's the best place on earth. West side of the neighborhood.
Now, wait a minute. Did they come to your door? Or
no,
did you guys just meet in the middle of the street?
She's a friend. Once my wife goes to sleep, I have walks with other women in the neighborhood late at night. That's what I do. So,
right, but answer the question. I'm saying, is it like on a Facebook group where I'll be outside if anybody's
No, she's a friend of ours. She's a friend.
So you texted?
Yes, we texted back and forth.
Okay.
Yeah, she wanted.
Do you have a couple Zimas out there in the street?
Let's just say even tonight, this coffee is not just coffee. Oh. That's not going to be. That's the way we're rolling.
So this show's going to be epic then.
It could be good. I mean, it was rough. It was. I don't know.
Were you shocked by the blowout? I think that's what I was surprised by.
Yes.
Is waking up and finding out Trump won, because I was like, man, that must have been a blowout. Because I went to bed at like 11. I watched some of the election coverage, local, national. I got about an hour of it. That was enough for me. I had enough.
So I was up
to
till
go to bed.
I was up till 4, long into the carnage. Like if you saw me at 4 a.m., I've got Doritos all over my chest, a bottle of wine next to me. I'm several Pure Options has been well into the evening. I'm watching like different live streams of the Bulwark podcast of the YouTube channel. I'm watching CNN, MSNBC, Fox. I'm going back and forth. I'm trying to get a sense.
So is this like your Super Bowl kind of thing? You were that like
it used to be. It used to be when I love political theater. I used to love this part of it, and now I don't because it's just I think and I just think the consequences are so severe. And you don't have to agree with me, and I respect people who don't. But it was pretty clear to me last night that
well, not everybody though. You don't respect everybody.
I respect everybody's right to vote. I don't necessarily respect their vote. I respect their right to vote.
Should everyone? I mean, I'll say it again. I don't know if everybody should vote, and that goes for me.
I think everybody.
I think I'm informed. I think I could vote, but I'm saying I would be okay if they took you had to have at least a 3-digit IQ to vote, and I don't know if I would get to there, so I would be okay with not voting if I didn't get there. But
I think we should be more informed on how the economy actually fucking works, and how inflation works, and how like.
Is there like a school for that? Or?
Eggs aren't going to go down in price because Trump's in office, and so. There are lots of things, and I understand that people vote with what's right in front of them, and people get talked down to, and they feel all sorts of ways. But it was pretty clear to me that we are we chose not to vote for a competent woman over a dimwit who doesn't give a shit about us, and worse yet, whose presidency threatens the lives of many of our citizens. I'm just going to leave it at that, and I know that this is not that show, and some of you will turn it off today, and we're going to talk some MSU basketball. We're going to pick the games with Harry. We're going to do
Don't turn it off. We're going to have a good time.
We're going to have a great time, and I am going to move on. And I still love you. I love you. Like if my Uncle Bruce or Uncle Barry called right now, love them. I mean, today might kindly tell them to fuck off, but tomorrow I would love them.
Were they talking shit?
No, they're great, and nobody should. Like if you're smug about stuff, then you can actually fuck off. Like I have all sorts of issues with the misogyny and grievance politics that have led us down this road. That's my issue, and I am going to live in this world happily. I am going to embrace all of our listeners, and we are going to have a great time for the next 4 years, or as long as this world lasts, and we're going to have a good time tonight. But I'm not going to not tell you how I feel, just like I don't expect you not to tell me how you feel about anything, be it my sticking up for Alan Haller or whatever it may be in this world. So that's where we are.
Can I talk about the text you sent me last night?
Oh, what did I send? I don't even remember.
Nothing. It was just you were comparing it to when I missed the next day after the 49ers, which, by the way, the Lions had a better shot than Harris did. But I just want to say that it's a little bit different, I would say. I mean, it was a Sunday going into a Monday. It was the morning. It was like we were doing a morning show. It was like, come on, you don't want me there. And Couch was like, I don't know if this thing goes the way I think it might go. We might not do a show. I don't know. Just keep it up.
I was trying to.
Oh shit.
I wanted to put it in perspective so you understood how I was feeling.
I understand. I figured that would be the case, though. Yeah. When I woke up and saw what was going on, I figured you weren't going to be too excited about it.
I love doing this show. I love our listeners. And I know many of them I enjoy interacting with don't agree with me on certain things. I still wish in this specific situation, I don't think this has anything to do with agreement. This would be a way. But the world spoke. We are going to get what we chose, and unfortunately, I will be part of that getting, and I just hope it's not as bad as I think it'll be. So, with that, let's talk a little MSU basketball before we get to Harry, because I
10 plus his ass.
I feel like I should do a Muskox live read too, right? You talk about comfort and
Brad is like, no, not right now.
Yeah, not this show.
No,
we don't
next segment.
We don't want the association.
And fuck Donald Trump. Anyway, Muskox.
Nah, it's.
I mean, if anybody's shocked, if they're tuning into the show and going, "Oh my God, that's where Couch leans politically," I mean, come on.
Yeah, and they don't.
I think people knew way before that.
Yeah, my favorite. Yeah, and it's not even. People would be surprised about some of my opinions, but the way I think about that certain man, I'm very confused by today. Anyway, not confused, disappointed. You know, it's worse than being upset. It's when your parents tell you you're disappointed and there's nothing worse than having them be disappointed in you when you're a kid. You remember that?
Oh,
they were disappointed in you a lot. Yeah. Anyway, that's right.
Always.
All right. So let's talk some MSU basketball.
Yeah.
And so Michigan State plays Monmouth on Monday night in their opener, and I thought it looked pretty good. Didn't shoot the ball that well, But and it wasn't as good a team as a year ago against James Madison, so not shooting well didn't have all the same repercussions. But I thought they played a different game too. They were just much more focused defensively. They were just there was a consistency to their effort, possession, that I thought wasn't there a year ago. They didn't drop their heads when they missed shots. It was, they were playing a different game that wasn't based around shooting. And a year ago, it felt like when the threes weren't falling, the heads were dropping. The crowd groaned a little bit a year ago. They did not this time, which I think, good job, crowd, number one. Number two, it speaks to that not feeling like the prevailing storyline of the game, the missed shots, because there were so many other things going on. I thought Jaden Aiken's performance was important. It was really good. The completeness of it, which several coaches said to me was the best, most overall game he's done. I'm going to have a story on him going into the weekend here. And the timing of his offense. It's 49-43, I think, at one point. Right around there, he has 9 straight points. It was an understanding that I'm the guy now. I've got to get this done. It wasn't just the three-pointer he hit. It's the attacking the basket, finishing with his left hand. No, he's a lefty. But there was an understanding in that moment that MSU needed something from him, and he delivered it. When you have 23 points, shoot 8 from 12 from the field, have 9 rebounds and 5 assists, that is a really good performance. Now, and I have no doubt that he's somebody who's going to do okay against Kansas and those sort of teams just because he's used to that level. What I am curious about, though, is what does it look like when they need that from him against those teams? Like, he'll be fine in those games. Can he be a next-level guy? Can he raise his game the way previous stars have later in their careers, the way a Denzel Valentine did? Everybody remembers that Champions Classic where he had a triple-double and what that meant to that team right away. It was like, wow, this guy's for real. Can somebody who they need on both ends of the court, like Jaden Akins, consistently, the 23 points aren't always going to be there, but can he consistently be a scoring threat? I think the shooting will be there because he's a career 40% shooter, and do what he did on both ends of the court and rebound well. Number 2, Jason, Cohen Carr continues to be like, he is that Brandon Dawson, Aaron Henry hybrid in a sense. Like, he's that presence who changes Michigan State athletically, and they've got some athletes who help in that sense. But like, when he's on the floor, he just gives them something that other teams don't really have a great counter for, and he's figured out how to do that. And he didn't know how to do that last year. I think that's really important. I want to see it against better competition, but he continues to impress me. And when you watch him,
but at least you're seeing it, though.
100%,
right?
He just gets it. He understands what he can't do, what he can do, how to fit into a half-court. The half-court offense never feels stagnant when he's in there. And it used to last year just grind to a halt. Now, that wasn't just his fault last year. And part of that this year is a guy like Jackson Kohler, who's on the floor a lot with him. They seem to like that pairing, whether it be at the 4-3 or the 4-5. But that means power forward, center, small forward, power forward, for in case my mom's listening. She wouldn't actually know what those things were either. But I do think that the skill that Kohler has, and a guy who can hit a three and will take threes, helps with the spacing and all that. But Cohen Carr, I think is I had another coach tell me that guy's got to be on the floor, and they're discovering that more and more and more. And the third real takeaway is Jace Richardson. When you get a guy, like every year, you expect your transfers to perform at a certain level. You hope guys develop into something. When you get a freshman who is ready and is ready to give you what he's giving Michigan State, and just a smoothness to his game, and I think Izzo described it as no wasted movement when we were talking to Izzo on Wednesday or Tuesday. What day? Tuesday. He's ready. He fits out there, and it surprised them how ready he is. He shot it better than they thought. I don't know. When he goes in the game, they trust him already, and he is going to be somebody who helps elevate and spark this team throughout the season.
So this came out of nowhere then, if they're surprised.
I don't think it came out of nowhere.
Because, with his pedigree and the way, AAU, the kids play in that all the time. Are we surprised that he's at this level right now?
They've seen it in practice.
Right. By looking at the box scores, 22 minutes, 10 points, 4 assists, 2 boards. That's pretty impressive for a freshman.
It's more than they thought when they recruited him. I think they knew this was coming. That's why he's playing so much. He played 20. He played more minutes than all but maybe 2 players, I think. Either that or his plus minus.
Carr and Akins.
Yeah. I mean, he's and that tells you something else. Carr and Akins, like they trust Trey Holloman in ways that I don't know that they trust Jace Richardson yet. Like, for example, when the game got a little dicey during that, they bring in Holloman and Kohler quickly. It's like those guys are going to settle this down. And they trust Holloman in that way. But I think in terms of ceiling and spark and that he'll do what he needs to do out there, and it's very clear with Jace Richardson that they trust him already. And I think that's a big thing for Michigan State. We'll see it again Thursday night against Niagara. I don't really know what to expect. 100% Niagara, I don't think it's quite as good as Monmouth. I can't. They're probably fairly similar. Projected a little lower in Ken Palm, but that's, who knows right now. They have 13 new players. So that's where college basketball is. Their entire roster is brand new. Good luck scouting that team. They have one game played against a Division III opponent, and everybody else is coming from high school, or most of them transfers from a different school. Like that is the hell of early season scouting. And so we'll get a sense there. And then next Tuesday, Champions Classic Kansas should tell us plenty more. If you're still listening, you're either have some pure options, you're a Kamala Harris fan, or you're just hung with us, and we appreciate you for that. We'll be right back. When we come back, we'll talk to Harry Gagnon. We will pick the games. Harry's been continues to carry us, and if you're betting what Harry gives us on the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app, you are doing very well. If you're just betting me and Jason, some weeks you do well, which is
speak for yourself.
Which is to be expected. Couch in the Roof, presented by Pure Options, precision crafted cannabis, and Front 43 Neighborhood Pub and Cask and Company Kitchen and Bar.
Hey, sports fans, are you tired of the same old routine? Looking for a way to unwind after a long day? Look no further than Pure Options, the premier destination for all of your cannabis needs in Lansing, Detroit, Muskegon, and Mount Pleasant. Whether you're cheering for the Lions, Spartans, or the Wolverines, Pure Options has everything you need to elevate your game day experience. Mention Couch the Rube when you visit Pure Options and get a Pro Grow 8th with a $50 purchase. It's our way of saying thank you for being a loyal listener. Swing by Pure Options today and elevate your cannabis experience to a whole new level. Firekeepers Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play from your phone, tablet, or laptop. Get in on all the football action with pre- and in-game wagering. There's showdowns every week in football that you can't miss. Plus, the college and pro hoops are red hot, and the pucks are cool. Get your first casino deposit and sports wager matched up to $500 each. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117. Where else can you cheer on your team, enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi, sip on handcrafted cocktails, or one of 46 beers on tap? Take your game day or date night to Cask and Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. Two amazing places with one awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask and Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing.
Find Couch in the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite podcast addict.
Couch in the Rube, presented by Pure Options, precision crafted cannabis. And our Wednesday night show brought to you by our friends at Firekeepers Casino and Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app and Front 43 Neighborhood Pub and Cask and Company Kitchen Bar near the Lansing-East Lansing border. It is time now to bring on the great Harry Gagnon from The Ringer, from Against All Odds with Cousin Sal.
Go Lions, restore the roar.
And BetOnline.com, the beautiful man who is making our listeners money week by week. Harry, how you doing, brother?
Hey, what's up, guys? How's everything going?
We're doing well, and our listeners are doing well if they're with you is basically it. So the latest numbers, you're having a good run, man. You should do this for a living. That would be my recommendation.
And I got to say, Graham, you're over 25 on the Pistons. Isn't looking too shabby.
I like it.
I like it.
I think I think they're solid enough. I don't know. And also, when you start to look at the teams around them, I like the Pistons to make the I got a little bit on them to make the play-in game, because you start to look at the teams around them, they got a decent chance to be the 10th team, 9th or 10th team, just based on the other teams around them. And it's
just curious. What were the odds on that? Curious.
I think it was like 6-1 or something like that. I'd have to look at what I got, but it wasn't like huge odds to make the play-in.
Still pretty good though, and the other day, not just a win, but a blowout of the Lakers.
Yes, no. I think they found themselves. I feel better about the money I have. I have lots of stock in Cleveland and Oklahoma City too, futures, which I'm pretty happy about. But anybody who's been betting Harry all the way through is 61%, by the way, on NFL games this year for us, which has been really good. So let us dig into these games this week. No Michigan State game, but a decent college football slate. I don't know. I'm kind of liking the week off just to watch other games. Let's start there. Friday night, Iowa -6.5 at UCLA. UCLA has had a real uptick here, and I know Iowa has beaten everybody pretty soundly, other than Michigan State. I'm on Iowa here. As good as UCLA's been, if they're focused as they go out to UCLA, I think Michigan State fans are going to have trouble with this line because they saw Iowa and East Lansing and it didn't look great. But they've outscored three decent opponents around the MSU game, 122-40. Scored 40 points in all of those games. I think they're better than UCLA. This is inside of a touchdown. I know UCLA's beaten some teams lately, beat Nebraska last week, beat Rutgers. Give me Iowa as long as it stays inside of 7. Jason, where are you?
Yeah, I'd hate Iowa, but I tell you, this is not a spite bet, Harry. I think Deshaun Foster has his team fighting after an 0-3 start. 2 road wins, Rutgers, and last week against Nebraska. I hate Iowa. UCLA, give me Deshaun Foster and the boys at home with the points. What do you got?
Well, I'm leaning here towards what Graham said, though. UCLA, nice win last week on the road against Nebraska. They got that nice win there. Go back home, but I just think overall here, just got to win by a touchdown. Overall, Iowa's got too much firepower. Just a better, stronger team than UCLA. I'm going to take the Hawkeyes to win by at least a touchdown.
Too much firepower. Something that's never been said about Iowa.
Well, three of the last 4 games, 40 points or more. Pretty good.
Congrats.
All right, and this is how much Harry delivers for our listeners. I get this text from Harry a little before the show because one of the games we're looking at is Georgia -2.5 at Mississippi, with maybe the best game of the weekend. Really good game, right? And he says, for David Jackson, the listener of your show, I like over 54.5, over 54.5 in Georgia, Mississippi. So right for David Jackson, right for our listeners, David.
Be careful, Harry. You hit one for David, he's going to be attached to you at the fucking hip.
All right, but so we know you like the over there. Why do you like the over? And then we'll get into the game.
Yeah, look, I'm also picking this game on Against All Odds with Sal later on today. We'll have Against All Odds out tomorrow, and by the way, also on Friday, I'm going to be on Cousin Sal's Winning Weekend on FanDuel TV. Me and Sal are giving out picks. That should be a lot of fun. We've got Tony Gonzalez on as a guest on that, so that should be a lot of fun. But Georgia, Mississippi, I like over 54.5. Look, basically, Ole Miss put up, 63 last week. Jackson Dart had over 500 yards passing, broke Matt Corral's and Eli Manning's passing record. There, the wide receiver Jordan Watkins had 5 touchdowns on 8 receptions. Carson Beck, in 3 of his last 5 weeks, he's had 309, 440, and 460 in passing yards. Georgia has scored at least 30 in 7 of 8 games. 69 points were scored in this matchup last year. 2 quarterbacks that are really good, big-name guys here. I think this is going to be a great game. We're going to light up the scoreboard over 54.5 in the game, guys.
No, I can see that. No, I like that. I'm excited. I'm actually. It's fun when you see good games on a bye week for Michigan State. The only issue is, have a date night with the wife. We're going to have to work around. But that's what Front 43 and Cask and Company is there for you. That's where I'll be, and I'll be able to position her correctly that I can see over her shoulder. I'll be able to position her shoulder and head correctly that she'll think I'm listening to her, and I am watching the TV at Cask and Company. All right, Georgia -2.5 at Tennessee. Georgia has, quarterback, at Mississippi, I this is a gut feel. Like, until I'm going Mississippi here, and I don't know. I feel like on the road, Georgia, I don't trust their quarterback play. I think they're going to turn the ball over. I think they're better at the line of scrimmage, but they're not explosive enough. And Mississippi is explosive enough. I will give me the home dog here is all I'm saying. Where are you, Jason?
Yeah, I got smacked in the face by Georgia, and how dare I go against them again. But I got to say, Harry, Carson Beck, last 3 games, 8 interceptions. Yeah. I just, if Ole Miss is going to do it, I like Lane Kiffin. Like you mentioned Jackson Dart. I just think Ole Miss gets it done at home. What do you got?
Yeah, you just mentioned that. That's what I had written down too. 8 picks last 3 games. I don't know if you can trust him overall. It puts up big numbers, but just that's something to be very wary of. And Jackson Dart, big numbers again, like I said last week. But this is a situation where it's a tough game because Lane Kiffin and Jackson Dart and Mississippi as a whole, when it comes to games like this, like last week against Arkansas, they'll put up 63. They'll put up big numbers. They'll win games big going away. But when it comes to the big games, the Alabama games like this, they just don't get it done. Didn't get it done against LSU earlier this year when they needed to, when they had the game in hand. But I am still, I just don't. Yeah, I'm with you, Jay, on the interceptions. I just don't like that, and I think that could be really bad for Georgia here in this spot too, and Georgia moving forward the rest of the season. I'll take the Rebels here a little reluctantly, but in the Grove in Oxford, Mississippi, I think they get it done. Let's see them take down Georgia. It'll be fun.
All right, a game of I think a lot of local interest. Michigan plus 14 at Indiana. And I think there's great value here on Indiana, and I'm going to explain why. They get in the same line as they did at Michigan State last week. And you're saying, what? Well, that line was at 8 at the end. Indiana was an 8-point favorite on the road. You get 3 points for being, at least 3 points for being at home. So Michigan State was getting those 3. If you take it to a neutral site, it would have been 11. If you took it to Indiana, it's 14. Vegas sees this game the same as Michigan State, Indiana right here. And I don't think Michigan's any better than Michigan State. So I'm not saying it's entirely wrong, but Michigan State was a little bit bigger than that underdog at Michigan. I think Indiana's got too much firepower. I think Kurt Cincinnati's got a lot of fuck you in him that he wants to take out on a team like Michigan. They need a win. That they need this game, number one, and they need a win that shows people, and Michigan has enough brand power that it would be a statement. People would notice it if Indiana thumps them. It's a lot of points, but at Indiana, I'm going to take the Hoosiers here. I think they cover this, and I don't know if they cover it by a ton, but I think they cover it between 17 and 21. They get to 17 or 21 points on the win. Jason, where are you?
Yeah, and the concern here is when you lay that much lumber, 14 points, you're worried about the opposing team that you're betting against to score an early touchdown.
Yeah.
I think even if Michigan does that, I think Indiana can boat race them out of the stadium. So I'm not scared by this number whatsoever. Give me Indiana. I like it a lot. Harry, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm not either. All I know is Indiana. I know everyone wants to talk about, they haven't played anybody, but all I know is they just put up like 42 points every single week. And by the way, last week, what a bad, I know I was touting a little bit on taking Michigan plus the 15 last week against Oregon. How about that for a bad beat? The Oregon runs it in with 20 seconds to go from the 2.5-yard line to win by 21. That was brutal. But
spite bet's coming.
Totally unnecessary.
Spite bet coming.
so kind of a spite bet. Screw Michigan. They're garbage. I don't care. I don't know how many quarterbacks they want to try. Nobody works. Nobody can pass the ball. And for that, Indiana keeps rolling. Roar keeps rolling, and they just keep putting up 40-point games, taking the Hoosiers.
But you got to love that. You got to love Dan Lanning as a gambler, though, that he's going to try to run that in, though, to cover.
I know, but that just doesn't. It just.
Not if you got the other side.
Right.
Yeah. It's not.
Depends on what side you're on.
Happen on the road, I don't know. I don't know. Whatever. I know what happened. I don't know.
It's that could become a drop on this show. You said something like "fuck Michigan," whatever. That could wind up being a something that we will pull up here.
I'm not talking about Michigan.
Right.
All right. Last college game. It is Alabama, and they are -3 at LSU. And that line, I don't know. That line surprises me. I don't trust this Bama team. Now, Bama needs to win because Bama's already got 2 losses. And I don't know if they get to 3. I don't think they're getting in the college football playoff with 3 losses. I think this is a elimination game in a lot of ways. And but give me the home team getting points. I'm surprised they're getting points there. That's really surprising for me. Give me LSU.
Yeah, I kind of hate this game. Loser goes home match, Harry. I guess after 2 that Texas A&M game, that second half by LSU though, that was something else. But I just got to take the home dog here. I'm not excited about it, but give me LSU. What do you got?
Yeah, I hear you, Jay. I kind of hate this game too. I don't like either team, but I will side with. You know what? I'm going to side with Alabama. Both teams 2 losses. I'm going to side with Alabama just because. I don't mind Kalen DeBoer as a head coach. I don't mind him. I know a lot of people are bashing him lately, but I still don't mind him. I think he's still a very good coach, and I just don't like Brian Kelly one bit. Don't like him one bit. So I hope he loses. Hope LSU goes down. I'll take Alabama.
Your hatred for Brian Kelly is up there with your hatred for Andy Reid. I mean, I think they're up.
It's in the ballpark. It's in the ballpark. By the way, I know we'll get to the game again, but another unbelievable non-call for Kansas City at the end of the game. Unbelievable.
Way to spite about the Chiefs that are going to win 3 Super Bowls in a row.
By the way, we'll get to that game in a second. I got an extra tidbit to mention. By the way, guys.
Okay, what do you got?
When it comes to the Chiefs game from Monday night, I was driving around, running around errands yesterday, and I had Sirius Radio and listened to Mad Dog Chris Russo. And I just said, I'm going to give it a shot. He was mentioning the game, but he didn't mention he mentioned the game, and he didn't mention the end of the game with the procedure penalty. First off, it was a procedure penalty that was so egregious that Kareem Hunt, who was in motion, had to dodge the lineman to get out of the way, and they don't call procedure from the 6-yard line. And Travis Kelce, who made the catch on the play, take the ball down the 2. Was not lined up on the line, which is also a penalty. So there are 2 penalties on the play that weren't called at all. So then, of course, Kelce makes the catch. He doesn't have to block anybody because he's not on the line. And then the ball goes down to the 2, and they take it into the next play. I said, I'll take a chance. I'm going to call Mad Dog, see if I get on in the next 15, 20 minutes. I was on in 5 minutes, and I went nuts. I'll send you guys the what I take. Yeah.
You're beautiful.
I went nuts. And Mad Dog even said, great call, Harry. Great call.
I would expect nothing less. One other thing before we get to the pro games too, you like UNLV minus 12.5 at Hawaii, and some places this line is already moving up a little more than that. What do you? I mean, obviously UNLV 6-2 at Hawaii 4-5. What do you like about that game?
Yeah, I love UNLV this week over Hawaii. It's been a great season for the Running Rebels, 6-2 as you mentioned, Graham, overall, but 4-0 on the road this year. And are 8-1 straight up in their last 9 away from Vegas, actually. The Rebels beat the Rainbows by 24 last year. They're averaging 41 points per game when we do record Against All Odds later tonight in our Shark Tank segment at the end of our always at the second Against All Odds of the week. We give our best bet to Sal, and he picks one. And UNLV is going to be my best bet this week. I'm going to take UNLV minus the 12.5 at minus 113 to win 100 over the Rainbows.
All right, the NFL. Before we get to the Lions game, let's do the Thursday night game. So people, if you're looking for something to do on Thursday night, although Michigan State basketball plays at the same time on Thursday nights, and that's on BTN. So this may be less interesting to our audience, actually. But Bengals plus 6 at the Ravens. Ravens look really, really good right now. And it's a lot of points, but the Thursday night games are weird, and that's the thing that always concerns me a little bit, and that's the reason I would lean Bengals at all. But until I'm proven otherwise, I'm on the Ravens here. Jason, where are you?
Thursday games are weird, definitely. But Burrow against those cornerbacks, okay, the Ravens have been playing decent, but man, Harry, they're beat up in that secondary. Give me Burrow and that 6 points. What do you got?
I'm with you. I'm taking Cincy. Cincy's won 3 of the last 4. They're fighting back to get in the playoff contention. Since 2021, guys, Cincinnati has either won or lost by 3 or less. 3 or less versus Baltimore in 7 of 8 games. Burrow getting 6, to me, seems solid in the division game. They kind of have to have Chase Brown's coming off the Bengals' first 100-yard rusher game of the season. Mike Gesicki versus the Raiders had the first 100-yard receiving game for the Bengals in a month. Bengals, I think, are back here, covering the 6 in Baltimore. I like it. Let's go 6. Take the 6 with Cincy.
All right. The other NFL games, Steelers +3 at the Commanders. Steelers playing a lot better, and Russell Wilson is not always my favorite personality in the world, but they've been good, and they got a great defense, and plus money at the Commanders. I know the Commanders are good. I know the Jaden Daniels story is great. I kind of like the plus money here with the Steelers. Jason, where are you?
Yeah, but what win, the Steelers' wins, have they impressed you with? Vegas, Jets, or the Giants? I mean, this team lost to the Cowboys. I just think at Washington, give me Couch's Redskins, Harry. I don't mind those given the 3 points. What do you got?
You know what? I'm taking a tough game. I want to watch this game, but I'm going to take Pittsburgh. I mean, from what we saw earlier on the season until now, and I know the oppositions haven't been fantastic, Jay, you're right, but still, Pittsburgh, 95 points they've scored in the last 3 games. Wilson, in his 2 games, 260 yards passing in both, and the running game has been fantastic for Pittsburgh. Najee Harris, last 3 games, 100-plus yards in all 3. I just like the way Pittsburgh's offense is running. I'm going to take the Steelers.
All right, Broncos +8 at the Chiefs. Your vaunted, hated Chiefs. Broncos good defensively. The Broncos are this team that I heard Cousin Sal and Bill Simmons talking about Broncos being the good bad team. Right, when they face bad teams, they're just better, but when they have to step up, they get crunched. The Chiefs are not running away from people though, and I get that the game's in Arrowhead and all that stuff. I like the Broncos to keep this within 8. I do. Eight's too many for the Chiefs. Just aren't beating people like that right now. Give me and the Broncos. I think are solid. Give me the Broncos here, Jason.
Yeah, but it's Bo Nix on the road, and I watched Tampa Bay with Baker Mayfield, who's actually a good quarterback. The Chiefs should have, like Harry said, should have covered that spread against Tampa Bay, and I think Tampa Bay is a lot better. Even though they have, Tampa Bay has the injuries at wideouts than Denver. I just don't trust Bo Nix on the road. I think the Chiefs win this game by 10. Give me the Chiefs. What do you got, Harry?
Yeah, I'm still going to take the Broncos. I'm never going to. I guess I'll never take the Chiefs. But I mean, I got smoked. Listen, guys, on that teaser I gave out last week, I did get smoked with the Broncos. It was the first game that their defense really just failed them all season. They were awful. Lamar Jackson, the Ravens went up and down the field all game long. Just sucked watching that one. But last year, the Broncos did hold Kansas City to 28 total points in their matchups last year. KC's pulling out every game, barely. So 8.5 here. Broncos laid an egg last week. Maybe they bounce back here, play a tough game. I'll take more than a touchdown.
Before we get to the Lions, one other thing I forgot to mention with the Ravens game. Sorry, Ravens Bengals is you do like Joe Burrow 23.5 over 23.5 completions over at -120, right? So I want to make sure people have that.
Yeah,
people have.
I like that. 23.5 completions by Burrow in his last 2 games. He had 27, 26 versus Vegas and Philly. He had a season high 30 in the first matchup versus Lamar and the Ravens earlier this season. He's had at least 31 attempts in 6 of his last 8 games. And Joe has gone over 23 completions in 5 of his last 6 regular season games versus the Ravens.
All right, it is the Lions -3.5 on the road against the Texans. I mean that's respect because I don't think this is a. The Texans are beat up. They're not what they were at receiver. They have some injury issues more so than some other teams, and so they're not the team maybe they would have been. But still, getting 3.5 on the road, they're trying to stop you from taking the Lions. I think with that hook, I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to not do it. I think the Lions right now are. You give them an indoor fast track, the way they're playing. I'm not saying they're not going to give up some points because they clearly are, but inside of 4 points, I still like Detroit here in this game. Jason, where are you?
Well, it's because of that guy right there, Harry. I just can't. There's no way I can bet against the Lions. I know that 3 and a hook looks intimidating and scary, and C.J. Stroud against our linebackers could be scary. I just think with our offense, we're clicking on all cylinders. Give me the Lions giving that 3 and a hook at Houston. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, people want to make a case for Houston, go right ahead. But people tried making a case for Green Bay last week to, love that Detroit doesn't play outdoors. The weather's bad. It's all set up for Green Bay. Doesn't matter. Campbell, the Lions, it doesn't matter what type of field they're playing on. They just dominate offensively. Everything works for them. Goff has been fantastic, whether it's the running game, whether it's St. Brown, whether whoever it is. It all works for the Lions. Still injuries to the offense and the Texans. Maybe they play a tough game. Maybe it's close. But still, how do you go against the Lions? You can't. Detroit. All
right. Before we go, Harry, I want to give you a couple soccer bets just so our people have them see what you like. I love Chelsea at home against Arsenal this weekend. It's the 11:30 Sunday game. We're going leading into the NFL. Pick 'em, which means draw no bet. If it's a tie, you get your money back. Plus 105 on that at home against Arsenal. Is not playing that well. Lost in the Champions League today. And Newcastle is a road favorite at Nottingham Forest, who's a better team. All the underlying numbers have Nottingham Forest as a better team than Newcastle right now, and that's a pick 'em, which means draw no bet at minus 105, pretty much even money there. I love those two games, Nottingham Forest at home and Chelsea at home, and I'll probably take some flyers on some underdogs because you can get a good price on Brighton at home against Man City at plus 325 to pull the upset, and Aston Villa at Liverpool at plus 500. I don't really believe in those games, but I like the money, so I'll probably sprinkle on those as well. But Nottingham Forest at home, and as well as
Newcastle.
Nottingham Forest at home against Newcastle and Chelsea at home against Arsenal. Okay. Yep, those are the two games I like.
You're taking Nottingham Forest.
Taking Nottingham Forest, and I'm taking Chelsea. Yep, Nottingham Forest and Chelsea at home this weekend. So, Jason, you got all those? You write those down?
Are you sure you guys couldn't do this over text messages?
We probably could.
I'll tell you what, though. Right, we really could. I will say this, though. That line, I'll tell you what, that Newcastle Nottingham Forest, though, you're right, Graham. That's a little, that line is funky, shouldn't it? Because Nottingham Forest just won 3-0 the other day.
They're really good. They're really good, and they're really good defensively, and they're home.
That's a weird number. Newcastle at any given time can get blown out.
Yeah, I think you're. There's a chance that winds up as a draw, but you just get your money back. I really think Newcastle's got a much better chance to win. They should be the home favorite. So I'm all over that. Harry, you are a beautiful man. We look forward to chatting next week.
Always, guys. Take care.
See you, man.
Let's hit something. Go Lions.
That is the great Harry Gagnon from Against All Odds with Cousin Sal, and of course The Ringer and BetOnline.com. We will take a really quick break. We will come in and dive into your groovy donut Twitter questions. Couch in the Rube, presented by Pure Options, precision-crafted cannabis, and our Wednesday night show brought to you by our friends at Firekeepers Casino and iCasino and Sportsbook app, and Front 43 Neighborhood Pub and Cask & Company Kitchen and Bar.
Hey, sports fans, are you tired of the same old routine? Looking for a way to unwind after a long day? Look no further than Pure Options, the premier destination for all of your cannabis needs in Lansing, Detroit, Muskegon, and Mount Pleasant. Whether you're cheering for the Lions, Spartans, or the Wolverines, Pure Options has everything you need to elevate your game day experience. Mention Couch the Rube when you visit Pure Options and get a Pro Grow 8th with a $50 purchase. It's our way of saying thank you for being a loyal listener. Swing by Pure Options today and elevate your cannabis experience to a whole new level. Firekeepers Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play from your phone, tablet, or laptop. Get in on all the football action with pre- and in-game wagering. There's showdowns every week in football that you can't miss. Plus, the college and pro hoops are red hot, and the pucks are cool. Get your first casino deposit and sports wager matched up to $500 each. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117. Where else can you cheer on your team? Enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi. Sip on handcrafted cocktails or one of 46 beers on tap. Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. Two amazing places with one awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing.
Ever wonder how comfortable you can be and how good you can look? Put on a Muskox flannel and find out. Muskox has new arrivals for this fall, including the Caper Green Grand Flannel, which even makes couch look good. Muskox is a Detroit-based flannel company that creates soft and durable flannels made to last a lifetime. They become a great partner with Couch in the Rube, not just because they make us look good and feel good, but because they're good people too, and a socially conscious company. For every $100 purchase, $10 is donated to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation. Muskox flannels are designed with 100% cotton that is ethically sourced and double brushed for softness. Feel the quality and comfort of a Muskox flannel by ordering at GoMuskox.com, where Couch in the Rube listeners can enjoy $15 off their flannel purchase with the promo code HOFF.
Find Couch in the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite podcast addict.
Couch in the Rube, presented as always by our friends at Pure Options Precision Crafted Cannabis. Get your best chill on any weekend, whatever you're feeling, whatever vibes you have. Pure Options is here for you. Makes life a little easier, a little better, and just a better way to relax. And pureoptions.com. And our friends also at Front 43 Neighborhood Pub and Cask and Company Kitchen and Bar. Unbelievable place. I'm telling you, it is just the menu there. I love their Big Island Sushi Bowl. I love their burgers. I love their flatbreads. Love everything they do. Their beer selection, their pad thai. If I've had too much to drink, it's a pad thai for sure. Outstanding menu. Go to caskandcompany.com. You can make a reservation, swing on by. You'll love the vibe. I recommend it to everybody. All right, let's dig into these Groovy Donut Twitter questions.
All right, Suburban Spartan Dad first. Will Jaden Akins make an all Big Ten team?
If he plays like this, like he did Monday night, he will, and he doesn't have to score like that. Like you're talking first, second, or third team, yeah. I mean, I know there are a lot more teams now, so there's 18 teams, and so you're talking less than a player per team, and so it's harder to get on it. But look, if you looked at Michigan State's team and you said which one guy is on an all-conference team based on the performance the other night and most likely guy to be in situations, you would say it's him. And so if they're a good team, they're top 5 or 6 in the Big Ten, I think Jaden Akins makes it. And I think the other thing that happens, too, is some of this is voted by the coaches, and they see what he does defensively. They see what he does on the glass. They see how. So I think there's a pretty good chance he does. Now, where he is on that ladder, is up to him. We saw one game against a low major opponent, so we'll see.
Ryan Rockwell saw Fred Human again at the same local bar as before. Should I ask for his autograph?
I mean, I felt all of Fred Human.
Please do.
Yeah.
And say that you hear his name mentioned on Couch in the Rube podcast.
All the time. Yeah.
All the time. Yeah. Say all the time. Yeah. David Jackson. David Jackson, what is MSU going to do when the games matter? We simply can't continue with an 11-man rotation. The problem is that I like all 11 guys, but surely big change is coming, right?
No, it's a good question, David. I would say that so if you just look at who's going to play for sure, right, off the bench, the starting 5, we know. Off the bench, Jackson Kohler's going to play. Trey Holloman's going to play. Jace Richardson's going to play. Carson Cooper is going to play. So you get at least 9 deep, right there. And let me hold on. Give me some Hoff for 1 second. I want to make sure I'm not missing something.
And we said, would somebody please guard somebody?
Apologies there. Yeah, basically 9 deep they're going to go for sure. I don't think there's any question about that. And the real question is, do they get, does somebody like Kurt Tang stay really into the rotation? Is he getting 2 or 3 minutes in that first half and that's it? I do not think Kurt Tang and Garrick Norman will both play. I don't think they'll both play in games. I think there might be room for, and I'm talking competitive games against Kansas or UConn or the things that are just ahead. But I think the big guys are all going to play, and I think of the freshmen, Jace Richardson is going to be on the court a fair bit. So I would say it's 9 deep, and that's who they'll use in big games.
David Jackson, would Alan Haller take offense if I write him an email and call him pussified for doing nothing to defend MSU? Does the truth indeed hurt? And why do I still see Central Michigan on our future football schedules?
I would use a different word than pussified, but I don't. I think
wussified.
Well, you write the email and write in a critical email. But I would to get in the room with people, to be taken seriously. I would always remember words matter, and that's why we use such poor language here, so nobody takes us that seriously.
Fuck yeah.
The Central Michigan on future schedules. I don't know if that'll remain or not. I don't. And I think part of it is they're waiting for the end of this investigation. It's also harder to get out of these things and reschedule. And I don't think they want to. I mean, Central Michigan is a really look, a lot of people have connections to Central Michigan. I think fans want that game on the schedule largely other than this situation, right? So if the head coach is gone and maybe who knows what the AD will be, then people will want that game back. And so right now, a lot of the vitriol is based on how the current people at Central Michigan have handled that specific situation. And so maybe you let it play out a little bit.
Dave Lakin next. I probably underestimated Indiana, but what caused MSU to regress so badly after showing many signs of improvement in the previous 2 games? Was it depth, coaching, or something else? Please give us some hope for the future.
Yeah, I think some of it is, and they regress differently, right? They ran the ball early against Michigan, and they ran the ball well against Iowa, and they couldn't run the ball at all against Indiana. And you're facing different schemes and different things, so different personnel and all that stuff matters. And injuries definitely played a role. You were very young in the secondary. We're down 4 guys at one point, I think. At least 4 or 5 guys total defensively. Didn't have your best linebacker starting the game. So there are a number of little factors that all add up, right? It's the same reason an election is lost, right? It's not all one thing. It's not all that bunch of racist, misogynist assholes, right? That's not the whole thing. There's a lot of other stuff that people need to do deep dives and why people vote a certain way, because not everybody who votes the other way is like that. And so it's sorry, what did that come out of my mouth? I apologize. What?
No.
Black out there. Anyway, but it's the same thing with a situation with MSU football. I think there's a lot of different factors. Some of it has to do with Indiana, and then maybe some of it has to do with Iowa and how prepared Iowa was. Iowa didn't play that well defensively. Michigan State coming out of a bye. I think this next game against Illinois will be pretty telling because it's another bye. Where is MSU's heads in focus?
Next one from Dave. It's a great move by Izzo to redshirt Jesse McCullough. He's got a low post body, and it will be good for him to work for 1 year against the other MSU bigs in practice. Do you think that Izzo, comparing him to Xavier Tillman, is too much to ask for, or do you see that potential?
It's so Tillman.
There's 2 different Xavier Tillmans, though, wasn't there?
Yeah, Tillman developed, man. You remember? I mean, you remember him as a freshman, right? He wasn't anywhere near the player he became, and then it sort of. I want to say it was it was late in the year. It was because I remember watching him at the Big Ten tournament. I believe that was the year in New York when he was a freshman, and you could just see he was a different player. The lights had come on in certain ways. They were better with him on the floor than Nick Ward, arguably. Like those were all things that were like happening in real time. So you never know. I don't know. I don't know how he's going to develop. I think he's got a good frame. He's got some skill to him. I think he's a real good guy to have in the program. And he's the type of guy that Michigan State needs to keep recruiting and developing because ideally what you want to have is guys like him, whether they become Tillman or something a little less, as juniors and seniors always in your program, and another one as a freshman who's still figuring it out, right? You don't have to always land the 5-star dude, but if you can land these guys and develop them, you'll have a good big. You'll have a Matt Costello. Maybe you have a Xavier Tillman. Those are important players to have.
Back-to-back state volleyball dad, champs dad. I'd rather not use Twitter anymore. Is there another platform you'd consider in addition to this one? Would you slide in my DMs on MySpace and let me know, LMK, when it's time to contribute?
There are other ways to do this. We do YouTube comments. Some people email their comments in. We are going to have to find, because you're not alone in this. I've heard from other people who are just done with Twitter. And look,
because of the election.
Oh well,
you're using it before.
I understand, but Elon played such a role in shaping the information. I'm with them on this though. Look on our show account. Nothing's going to change. It's our show account. We interact there. But I am debating right now with my actual Graham_Couch account how much I'm going to use it. I don't know because it doesn't drive It doesn't drive story traffic the way Twitter used to because Elon screwed it up. And then I cannot stand.
What are you going to use? Facebook?
I don't need it. Yeah, people find it through Google.
Google?
Facebook will still
be there. I got
a
Google now?
No, it'll be on the homepage. Not like the story's not going to be there.
Oh.
I'll send it to you personally. And then the other thing is,
what are we going to do without your Twitter timeline of you reposting shit, man?
If I don't do Twitter, I will have a newsletter. So after the game, I will send out an instant. You'll get it right to your email box. The quick takes, things like that. They'll come to you. I will still be the
99
messenger.
99 cents a month? Or?
No, it'll be free.
Oh.
The stories might not be free, but the newsletter will be free. I'm not going to charge.
So I get a $14.99 charge from Gannett
later
on account like I did today. You guys are something else, man.
Is it up to $14.99?
I don't know what. I saw a $14.99 charge. I think it's the Detroit Free Press or News that I signed up because I wanted to read one fucking article. And the next thing you know, I'm into a goddamn contract.
But
I digress.
But I'll work with you.
I really want to support you guys. You guys make it really hard.
You
guys really do.
We are. We're not good. We're not good people.
Terrible human beings.
We will work on this for you, though.
We all suck. Moneybag, is there any reason to have any hope for MSU football recruiting? Our one good commit is visiting Bama and saying NIL is a concern at MSU. Regardless of how the past few years have gone, it's a big program with a ton of resources. Shouldn't be hard to put together a half-decent class.
So, and I had not seen that, a bit about him saying NIL is a concern at MSU. I do know that there are people in the NIL space who, it's a big payment that MSU is committed to. And the question is, can they make them? And they do have, major donors who are billionaires and or people have a lot of money to give, but it's a big ask. And I think one of the best things that's going to happen to MSU is when more of this goes in-house. There will still be outside NIL, but Michigan State will be one of the schools that struggles less to foot the bill for the $22 million or whatever it's going to be annually to student athletes. 12, 13, 14 million of that's going to football probably. So a lot of your salary that you've got to pay is going to be coming directly from the school, and some of that won't be in question. Now, there will be outside payments. Quarterback will be a big deal. And I think it's fair to have concerns about recruiting until you see an uptick in it. I'm very curious to see what Jonathan Smith's next class looks like, and sort of as he start. I know he wants it to be a developmental program, but you got to land some 4- and 5-star guys if you want to compete at the highest level.
Nate Hamilton, when will MSU get rewarded for doing the Big Ten favors? Moved a home game to Ford Field last year, multiple Friday games this year, rolled over in a stomp gate. Meanwhile, MSU's football schedule is a gauntlet, and Ward Manuel says Michigan will never play a Friday game. What the fuck?
Yeah, so there may be things that we don't see, but I think one of the things that Alan Haller is probably going to need to do at some point, be it through me or other reporters or obvious or whatever it is just explain where they've gotten something back. Because people will want to know that. They'll want to know where, hey, like, for example, Michigan State wanted the Friday night game this year for the opener, which has become something of a tradition. And I'm not sure how much of that was a favor, but it didn't count toward their Friday night games, which meant or their night games, I should say. So they had more of those. And so let's see if like one of the things Alan Haller's asked is that in the future that Friday night opener that people like on Labor Day weekend counts as a Friday night game, counts as one of their night games towards their total, their allotment that they're allowed to have. And so is that considered a favor? I don't know. But these are all fair things. I understand why people feel this way.
Matt C. Next, if Alan Haller called out the Michigan athletic program per my suggestion, what would be the downside? The Big Ten has no respect for MSU. Jim Delaney called us Michigan and couldn't say D'Antonio's name correctly.
And he looked through some people, too. Jim, don't get me going.
Big problem, yeah.
Jim Delaney, fucking.
F that guy.
Yeah, well, I think, you've got to work in a professional setting with these people, and you're trying to get the best for your institution. And if all you do is piss people off and alienate them, and I'm not saying you shouldn't call people out, and I think they know in private conversations how he feels about it. I mean, he had a number of conversations with Tony Petitti, so my guess is he knows. If you go out and try to embarrass somebody or question their character or their competency, and who is somebody you've got to work with on a daily basis, that's not always the best decision either. So I think, could have he been more forceful in the statement? I think he probably could have, but would have it been to do the most satisfying, statement? Like, sometimes you have to think about that. Like, last night on Twitter, there were lots of responses I wanted to make. as I finished the bottle of wine and threw another edible in from Pure Options. But what you do is sometimes you think about relationships, about the next morning, how you're going to feel about something you said, about what the impact is, whether it's worth it. And so I think these are all things Alan Haller has to consider too.
Jebediah, what's more likely at this point? Smith getting a 5-star recruit or Izzo getting another Final Four?
What do you think's more likely?
I guess I would say Final Four. Because I just don't know when a 5-star. Because the recruiting thing, I just don't, right? Who gets a 5-star?
And it feels like in the momentum right now that he's not getting those guys. Now, who knows? He's got a couple of really good recruiters on his staff, and it could pop at some point. Yeah, I would too.
Yeah.
I would too. Yeah.
It's crazy. Jebediah, thoughts on season 2 of Tracker so far, Graham?
Great treadmill show, Tracker, on Paramount Plus and CBS. Great.
What isn't?
It's well, no, but
when you're on a treadmill, every show's great.
it's got to keep your heart rate up, got to keep you into it, and I like it. I miss the two lesbians who call in.
There's lesbians?
There's a lesbian couple.
What channel is this on?
It's CBS.
All right.
There's a lesbian
What time?
It's Sunday nights, but it's also
on regular CBS? Like you mean the Queen Latifah?
Yeah, but I watch
the Equalizer.
I watch it on Paramount on stream it. I don't usually watch it live. But
is it rated R on that?
No,
little extra scenes? Or?
No. It's just. Oh, but there were this lesbian couple. One of them left the show, who's kind of a bigger actress, and I miss her a little bit. But I think it's really good. It's really good. As good as last year, I think. So.
Mr. Benjen, is there any joy to be had to be in Sportsville? MSU football sucks. MSU basketball will be good, but not championship level. The Wings suck. Pistons might win 30. Sure. Lions? Yay. What else?
Well, hold on.
Yeah,
the Lions,
the fuck on.
The Lions, yay, is like the Lions might be the best team in football. Yeah. If they win a Super Bowl, that's more than yay. That's
Go
like
Lions, restore the roar.
And the Tigers just had like this historic run that was a hell of a lot of fun for 2 months. And so we've got some hope with them. Things aren't that.
I mean, Benjen, I get it, man, but Jesus.
I think the Pistons are on their way up a little bit. The Wings do seem to be struggling a little, for sure.
Sports Guy 1919. If Vegas picked the 12 team with playoff based on betting favorites and spreads, do you think we would get a more legitimate champion compared to what we have now?
So you're still playing the games out, but the 12 teams are being picked based on odds and all that stuff. I don't.
I saw the projections this morning. I mean, it seems like it's going to be a fun playoff if it
100%.
The season ended today, but I mean, what's wrong?
What was that voice?
That was my radio guy voice.
Okay,
if the season ended today, you have to say those fucking.
Yeah, no, I
the season ended today.
Now, here's the problem you would have is you do have some teams where their odds get bet down, based on just brand and how big their fan bases are, and so it wouldn't be. I don't know if it would be perfect. But there are times where I know what you mean, that it feels like this Vegas is telling you who's actually better here. You should listen.
Oh, and next, what will the Lions need to address in the offseason to sustain the success they are having? Linebacker and D-line, of course, but can you upgrade at other positions without messing up the chemistry?
What would you do this offseason? Like, what would make you, other than linebacker and D-line, what would you like to see the Lions
I would
do?
make sure we have depth on the O-line, the defensive line, get another edge rusher in there. I mean, I know that Smith is coming in. Are we going to re-sign him after this year and all that? I mean, definitely the linebacking core. We have to get some sort of veteran leadership in there. I'm sorry.
I agree with you on that offensive line too. Like, I think you can never have too many good young offensive linemen in this world where you don't have that many guys.
I love offensive linemen.
Guys who are cheap too and early, and especially you're gonna have to make decisions on guys. And one of the things you see in the NFL is you always see, well, this team lost their left tackle, now they're screwed. Like, you want to be as deep as you can be there. You never want to be relying on a healthy season.
Let's get another edge guy though, younger. I don't know. Owen, could Jace Richardson going to play a similar role to this MSU team as Aaron Henry did the 2019 team? And from Jarrett, do you think Jace Richardson could become the first guard off the bench at some point this season?
The second part first, I don't, because I really do think that Trey Holloman, there's a respect thing. First of all, Izzo trusts him, and he's a really good player. But there's also a respect thing. In some ways, this should have been his time to start. He's not getting a start. One of the things Izzo talked about with Holloman and Kohler was, he always uses the Morris Peterson stuff because he likes to lean on the 90s. But you're trying to sell guys who are going to be key guys on your team on the idea that they're coming off the bench. And I think for both, Kohler, but especially Holloman, being passed by a freshman in that role, even if, and look, Richardson played more minutes than Holloman last night. I just think that is something you won't see. The similar role as Aaron Henry did in 2019. The difference Henry in 19 was that guy as a freshman who changed who they were athletically. They needed him. And I think in some ways Richardson's further ahead offensively than Henry was and at this point in that season. But they're different in how they'll spark them. Henry was a pivotal in terms of giving that team, which had limited athletic ability on the wings, something there. And I think Richardson gives you a more polished player already.
Jarrett, how are the Chiefs doing so well, even though Mahomes has worse stats than Daniel Jones?
Well, because Mahomes is still really good. Like we see that the other day, right? I mean, that you still trust
true?
him.
Worse than Daniel Jones?
Well, what are the numbers? Stats? Hold on. Let me give me some off.
I mean, I know his touchdowns to interception ratio, yards and everything.
All right, so Daniel Jones stats this year. He has 60. So he's thrown for 1,880 yards. Shit, I have the under on him. That's not going to work. But 63, basically 64%, 8 TDs, 5 interceptions, and 82.9 rating. And Mahomes is about 70%. He's thrown for more yards, 1,942, 11 TDs, 9 interceptions, 90 rating. Mahomes has better numbers this year than
but it's closer than it should be.
It's very closer than it should be.
Right.
The Chiefs have a great defense, and they have a good coaching. They know who they are. And, I think it was Collinsworth who said the other night, or was it Aikman who was doing the game? It was a Monday night game. So Aikman.
Yeah, same guy.
Aikman said one of the things that he does well is whatever they need to do to win, he does. He's past that, in that point in his career. Not every game looks the same. It's not always playing great. And I just think you still trust him more.
You want some more Hoff so we can make sure we give the proper credit for that quote? I mean, that's a hot take.
No, we're good.
Those guys, they just do what it takes. Jared, Ethan Charbella, from an enjoyment standpoint, do you take the next 5 years of MSU hoops or MSU football?
All right, bazooka to the head. For having more fun, you taking hoops or football next 5 years?
Bazooka time.
I think this is pretty simple. I think I'm taking hoops.
Yeah, same. And it's not that football won't be, but it's just like, I mean, we've seen the basketball team's floor, and we've seen how every year. So even when the basketball team isn't great, think about how you feel at the beginning of the year. Last year, high hopes. People were thrilled going into that. They gave you that game against Baylor where people thought they were going to win a national championship. This year, there are lots of things that excite you about the team. The football team does not give you the things the basketball team does, even when they haven't been great.
Next one from Ethan as a fan. November 16 looks like a great day. Football and hoops in the same day. Graham, how do you feel about it covering the games? Similarly excited or a lot to manage?
Yeah, I mean, the basketball, so the Michigan State plays at Illinois football, weird 2:30 start time, Eastern time at Illinois. And then basketball, I believe, is going to be 6 p.m. Not sure that's been fully announced or I was supposed to say it, but 6 p.m. And I thought about staying here and covering hoops and doing the quick takes from afar and not going to the football. I think football is really interesting now. I think this game is interesting. I'm going to go to that. But the problem is, like, all the post-game stuff will be happening during basketball. How do you write those columns and cover the hoops? And it's not great because, one's on the road and one's home. So if they were both at home,
I wish there was two of me.
That's what I was going to say. I like donuts. Speaking of donuts, and speaking of donuts, if you are thinking about that day and you're going to be home and you're going to be watching Illinois and Michigan State, in football, and then going right into Bowling Green versus Michigan State in basketball, which is Tum Tum Nairn back in East Lansing, and also Todd Simon from Fowler, who's the head coach there at Bowling Green. Make sure you've got lots of Groovy Donuts. Groovy Donuts improves every day. They will do specialty donuts for you. If you want footballs and basketballs on your donuts, if you want your team name on your donuts, whatever they do, you go to groovydonuts.com. Monica and Andrew do an outstanding job with that. Or just swing on by, pick yourself up a half dozen or a couple more. Then your wife doesn't know you've eaten 2 and you still have a half dozen. That's always my recommendation, the way I like to play it. Again, groovydonuts.com. 2 locations, Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing, and also in Williamson. They're open 7 a.m. To 1 p.m. Thursday through Sunday. So if you're heading in a weekend, you can make them part of your day. Again, groovydonuts.com.
Scott, you next. What is the ideal policy for a redshirt season for both players and the sport? Football with 4 games, then sit the rest. Basketball, not able to play at all during the season, or something else.
What feels fair to you? I don't think you should have it the way it is now. Like, I like what football does, with you get to play up to 4 games and it can be any time. I wish basketball did more of that, where it was like,
because I feel 4 games is enough, right? A sample size if you're a player to.
And you have so many injuries. Like, you can have a guy who develops late in a season. And he played maybe 1 game early, but he's able to play as a freshman 2 or 3 late and not have it count against him. I wish in basketball they did that. Now, maybe you would not allow the postseason. If you want to use them in the postseason, you don't get get your year back. But to be able to spread like 10 games out throughout the year and still get your red shirt, I think would be really valuable and smart. And I don't see why they don't do that.
Captain Sparty next. When will Xavier Booker's breakout game be, and how will it be?
It'll be a day he hits 3 or 4 threes, because that's the way he's going to walk into a lot of confidence.
And not get pushed around.
Yeah.
According to Graham.
And not get pushed around. But I think some of that will be, from there he'll drive all of other things. But he needs that game where the threes fall, and they fall several times. And that can happen against anybody, because, I do think it doesn't have to be a low. Like, I think he's the type of guy who could hit, 2-3 threes against, Kansas, and that's the breakout game, and that's a big part of MSU doing well.
DMB next. What offensive scheme would you run to maximize the rest of the MSU football season? Let's consider we have no pass rush and eat up a lot of the clock with limited points. An adjustment is needed to make a bowl game.
You're not going to change who you are here, but I would try to get Nick Marsh in space. That's the thing I would do. I would really work. Montorie Foster's pretty good at that too. They have decent receivers, but quicker passes, getting a guy like, we've seen it before. We saw on the touchdown he had against was it Iowa or no, it was Michigan late when he caught that and spun it. Like, you want that guy, and he makes great plays on deep balls, but also in a phone booth. Get him the ball in space. Work to create some shorter. So I think they do need to find ways to get Aiden Childs in a rhythm, and I would do more of that.
Munfield Keg next. Pat Narduzzi fired his whole offensive staff and has had success this year. Do you think he learned from D'Antonio's mistakes? Do you think if D'Antonio did the same thing in 2016, a similar thing might have happened? It might have even left us with a successor for when he left in 2020.
So Narduzzi's
we don't have enough time for all of that.
Narduzzi's been doing this for a while. Early on has changed staffers, and I think he would have done that if he had been the head coach at Michigan State. He and D'Antonio were a little different there in that.
He doesn't mind blowing people out.
Yeah,
kind of like that about Narduzzi.
Or giving somebody else the blame. Either one.
Sure,
look at it 2 different ways.
Yeah. Jake Hawkins, how should we be feeling about next Tuesday's game against Kansas? I'd like to see an upset, but I'd settle for a close, competitive loss.
Yeah, it's a good question. Kansas is ranked by some to be the number. They're obviously going to be a top 5 team, it looks like, this year. Hunter Dickinson just turned 37.
How about we win one of these? Let's win one.
Well, they're going to have
Kansas.
They're going to have other opportunities. I think this is.
I can't handle a close competitive loss though, Hawk. Like, I saw it, like the way he put that. I'm like, no. I'm just kind of sick of losing these games sometimes.
Well, in Maui, they're going to get to play UConn most likely, and then maybe North Carolina or Auburn or Iowa State, all top 15 teams as well.
But let's change the mentality. Let's win one early on in the season that they usually don't win.
I think they'll be competitive in the game. I don't think Kansas will run them out. But it's
Could it
hard.
go either way? Is that what you're going to tell me?
Right now, I would pick Kansas. But what I'm very curious about is to see how a guy like Jackson Kohler deals with Kansas' size, because he's been really effective against smaller teams. But how does he look when they start playing high majors at the elite level with 7-footers? How is he doing there? And can he still rebound like the way he is?
Well, speaking of, next one from the Hawk. As good as he was Monday night, does it seem like Jackson Kohler has a case of the butterfingers or playing time jitters now that he's cleared of his injuries?
He moved a little quickly, I think. And one thing he's going to have to not do is, I was talking to Izzo about this because he did that baseline spin twice, and they were. That's clearly scouted. They were there with a second person to meet him at the rim, and a couple of those were fouls, but a couple times he just lost the ball in there. But Izzo was saying like 2 out of 10 times you ought to be spinning in there, and right now he's doing like 2 out of 4, and he's not sure why he's doing that because he's got other moves to his game. So I don't know what it was. I thought he played okay otherwise, and I thought we saw it in a similar setting against Ferris State, where he played well. So, but I think he is one of the more intriguing players to see when they step up in competition.
Last one from the Hawk. What's your latest evaluation of MSU's AD Alan Haller? Does he need to rethink his strategy of every sport in the athletic department gets a chicken?
So, in other words, everybody gets a scholar. Like, what you're meaning here is they don't get rid of sports. In other words, everybody still gets scholarships. I think as an AD, you begin to lose a department when you start cutting sport. You never want to be the AD that cuts sports. You don't want to be that guy. And
gets a chicken. Is that like an old timey term or something?
Yeah. Well, hold on. Let me hoff that up because
you're gonna hoff the old timey term.
Yeah.
Oh. So everybody gets a chicken. See.
I don't even find it here. I think he's so deep into it that it's okay. So
what'd you put in?
What does it mean?
Is it true everybody gets a chicken?
When everybody gets a chicken. I like donuts.
I hate your impersonation of yourself. That's terrible.
Sorry.
Oh, are we done?
No, So to answer the question, my overall evaluation, I think he's been pretty good. I think there are areas in the NIL space where there's some ambiguity about, I don't know that they really, really tapped into the secondary donor base as well as they could there. But I think overall he's done a pretty good job.
Shep, next. So you're here to tell me that in the NFL, New York is watching closely enough to randomly call in and eject someone, but they can't and won't call in and correct the half dozen missed face masks, awful pass interference, missed holdings, etc. That any stone couch potato can easily see every game. Make it make sense.
Well, I mean, they have certain things just aren't reviewable. Yeah, I mean, it's a frustrating thing. I like the call in from New York, the help and all that stuff, but oh my God, my wife is listening live.
Good.
We're gonna have to cancel the show. That's it. It's not great. She says, Twitter question: will you please bring home cheesy popcorn? Yes, I will. Please stop listening. All right, all right. Next one.
Shep, speaking of not making sense. For the mercilessly short remainder of MSU's football season, 1 out of every 6 offensive play calls should be a max protect deep shot to Nick Marsh. How is that worse than the shit show offense we are currently calling?
I guarantee you after that question, my wife is no longer listening. That's well done. Well done, Shep. I agree that getting the ball to Nick Marsh, and I just said, I mean, it's deep balls, it's underneath stuff. You got to get the ball on your playmaker, and he is one of the few difference makers they really have, like true difference makers, not matchup dependent, like against anybody, and so they've got to focus that.
Upper Deck Jerk Guy, do you think we're headed for Kakistorasi?
Oh, man.
Kakistorasi?
Oh, man. Let me look this up.
Kakistocracy.
The government by the least suitable or competent citizens of state. I do. That is well said, sir. Yes.
Kakidocracy. Jerk Guy, who is more likely to get a Big Ten title first, Smith or Izzo?
Izzo, right? It's just it's easier. Well, I think where Michigan State is in the pecking order in basketball, there's no difference. It's a big difference. I'm totally thrown off my game that I know my wife is still.
Well, there's one more question.
Okay, good. We're just about done, baby.
I'm sure she would enjoy this one. Have you ever had gas so bad that you think you might be dying?
I would say about 3 a.m. last night.
A
little bit of, a lot of wine, a lot of pure options in me.
Poor
Things were going well. She was sleeping. She was, she did not have to experience that.
You sleep in another room, though?
I was still up watching the coverage, So we appreciate all of you listening to our show, producing it for us. We appreciate Groovy Donuts. Again, groovydonuts.com for location information, including their two spots, Williamston and Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing, 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. Thursday through Sunday. We appreciate Pure Options, precision-crafted cannabis. If you're still listening to the show, you're well aware, and you're probably several edibles in. We appreciate our friends at Firekeepers and the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app, and Front 43 Neighborhood Pub and Cask & Company Kitchen and Bar. We'll be off the rest of the week. Jason's in Vegas.
Yeah.
And we'll be back Monday. Couch in the Roof.